all are doing great today, and welcome to our presentation. We got a great topic ahead of us, folks, as we're going to be discussing life on board Amtrak with Amtrak Vacations. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Bennell, and I am one of the business development executives with Amtrak Vacations. A little bit about myself. I have been with Amtrak Vacations now for just over 7 years. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I celebrated my 7th anniversary with us, and I absolutely love it. A little bit about myself as well. I absolutely love rail travel. I've done quite a bit extensively throughout the United States, Canada, and all throughout Europe. So it's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm very excited to be with you all today to go over some of this wonderful information. Before we hop into it, don't forget to download the handouts where that top arrow is pointing. It should be on the right-hand side on your GoToWebinar control panel. There should be 2 handouts today. There's going to be one on a flyer on how to customize your Amtrak Vacations package, as well as there's going to be one on our upgrade and save sale that we have going on right now, which I'm going to just go over in just a moment. As well as if you have any questions throughout the presentation today, do not hesitate to put those questions into the questions box where that bottom arrow is pointing, and I will be more than happy to answer any and all questions that you may have for me today. Now, I mentioned that upgrade and save sale. What is this? Well, it is a promotion that we have going on right now. We started it up today, and it is good until next Friday, March the 6th. So you don't want to miss out on your opportunity to save some money. If you book one of our vacation packages, if you upgrade to a roomette, you automatically get $200 off per couple. Or if you upgrade to the full bedroom, you automatically get $300 off per couple. The sale started this morning, just as of about an hour ago. You won't want to miss out on this opportunity to take a great trip, save some money. Don't hesitate to book your rail vacation package to take advantage of this. Now let's hop right into it, find out what makes Amtrak Vacations different. Well, there's several reasons for that. First and foremost, traveling by rail is a bucket list experience. In fact, we surveyed all of our travelers last year as to why they chose traveling with Amtrak and Amtrak Vacations, and the number one consensus answer was that it was a bucket list trip. If you think about it, you probably have done an ocean cruise. You maybe have done an all-inclusive to Mexico, the Caribbean, Hawaii. Maybe you've done an escorted tour through Europe to Asia or elsewhere in the world. Maybe you've gone to Disney World, and just maybe now you've conquered river cruising and you're looking for that next adventure, something fun, different, and unique. The rail can satisfy each and every single one of those needs. It's freedom and flexibility. One of the best parts about a vacation packages is they operate almost on a daily basis. With just the exception of a few of our seasonal national park packages, almost every single trip we operate runs daily. So you can truly travel when you want to travel. It's not like the escorted tours where they select start dates or the cruises where they select sailing dates. You can actually travel when you want to travel. They're hassle-free. There's none of this business about checking in 24 hours ahead of time or showing up 2 to 3 hours before your departure like you would with a flight. No. How does 45 minutes to an hour sound? I can tell you that is the average time people will typically show up prior to the Amtrak departure, truly making it as hassle-free and as worry-free as possible. Official tour operator, that is a title we carry with pride as we are the official tour operator for Amtrak. We're the only ones that work hand in hand with Amtrak to bring our wonderful vacation packages to life. We have a great relationship as the official tour operator with Amtrak. City-to-city service. Now, this is something I personally love because with Amtrak, there's no need for those long airport transfers as we typically go from downtown to downtown, city center to city center, putting you right where you want to be right off the bat so you can start your vacationing and your sightseeing off on the right foot. Something for everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you're traveling with or the type of trip you're going on or your age. There is something for everyone to enjoy on an Amtrak Vacations package, because at the end of the day, truly, who doesn't love rail travel? Now, I love showing this map because it really amazes me at how extensive Amtrak system really is. As Amtrak services 46 out of the 48 continental states here in the US, with the exceptions of South Dakota and Wyoming. And last year, Amtrak set their ridership record with over 32.5 million passengers. To put that into perspective, if Amtrak was an airline, Amtrak would have been the 6th most flown airline in the world. Definitely goes to show you that rail travel is in demand, and there's no time but now for you to experience it firsthand. Now you might say, Nick, this sounds fantastic, but where do these vacation packages start? Well, luckily for you, Any of our vacation packages are customizable, every and all of them. You can start your vacation package and customize it to start right from your local station. In fact, there's over 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States and Canada, and you can start and or end any of our vacation packages from any of these stations. It's as simple as that. Alternatively, you can fly to your start destination and or fly home from your end destination. It is completely up to you with that. So definitely keep that in mind, that you can fly. In fact, about 60% of our travelers on Amtrak Vacations will fly to their start destination and or home from their end destination. And keep that in mind throughout the presentation. Customization, what does that mean? Well, every single package we offer has the ability to be customized and tailor-made to your liking. You know, when you have an escorted tour, you have that set itinerary, and you can't really deviate from that. You can't change up the schedule. It's set in stone. With our packages, it's the exact opposite. Say you see one of our trips, but you might want to modify it a bit. Maybe you want to add nights or remove nights to a package. Add a destination or remove a destination. Maybe you want to do a portion of a package or do a trip in reverse. Maybe you want to combine multiple itineraries into one trip, or maybe, just maybe, you have a dream trip in mind that we might not necessarily offer. Well, folks, we can make that dream trip become a reality, as everything we offer has the ability to be customized and tailor-made to your liking. We can make that dream trip become a reality for you, folks. So with all that said, everyone, let's hop into some of our top itineraries that we have going on for 2020. Can't believe I'm saying that. Can't believe we're almost 3 months through 2020 as well. That's crazy. The first trip we're going to go over is one of our most epic trips that we offer. I'm talking about our Grand Rail Experience. Now, this trip is fantastic. It's part of our Rail Experience packages, which really put the focus on the journey rather than the destination, as we tend to keep the hotel and destination stays in a minimum on these trips, where the true focus is being on the train as long as possible. And this one is so epic because you get to visit almost every single corner of the continental United States by train. How exciting is that? So this trip starts off out of Chicago, where we hop on board the Empire Builder train, which is the most northern route on board Amtrak. It's really scenic. It's absolutely gorgeous, especially when you pass through the state of Montana. It is absolutely beautiful. You're going to do 2 nights on the train from Chicago to Seattle, Washington. We're going to ride the Empire Builder in its entirety. And when we arrive into Seattle, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown Seattle hotel. Now, while we're in Seattle, we will get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take you around the city of Seattle on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions that Seattle has to offer. It's a really great way to get around the city and see all the major sites that Seattle has to offer. It'll take you by the Space Needle. It'll take you down by the Pike's Place Market, where you can see them throw the fish. It'll even take you over by the original Starbucks, which it's always worthwhile getting a cup of coffee there. After our fun in Seattle is all said and done, we are going to hop on board Amtrak's most scenic train. In fact, it's been voted the most scenic train in North America the past 3 years. We're hopping on the Coast Starlight. And we're going to do an overnight train from Seattle. And we're going to ride that Coast Starlight train in its entirety as we go all the way from Seattle down to Los Angeles, where we will arrive the following evening. When we arrive in Los Angeles, we're going to do 1 night in a downtown Los Angeles hotel. The next morning in afternoon, you will have a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour of Los Angeles, which will take you around LA on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions that LA has to offer. So it'll take you down through Hollywood, where you can see Grauman's Chinese Theater, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. It'll take you up into Beverly Hills and the Hollywood Hills. It'll take you through all the major sites of downtown Los Angeles as well. After our day of sightseeing that evening, we are going to hop on board Amtrak's most southern route, the Sunset Limited. We're going to do a 2-night train journey from Los Angeles to New Orleans. When we arrive in New Orleans, we are going to do 2 nights in a downtown New Orleans hotel, typically in the French Quarter or on Canal Street. While we're in New Orleans, we are going to have a guided city tour of New Orleans, which will take you around the city, show you a lot of the major sites that New Orleans has to offer, and goes over a lot of that rich history that the city of New Orleans has. After our stay in New Orleans is all said and done, we will then hop on board the Crescent train, and we're going to do an overnight train from New Orleans to Washington, D.C. When we arrive in Washington, D.C. the following morning, we are going to do 1 night in a downtown Washington hotel, and that's typically in the Capitol Hill or DuPont Circle area of the city, so prime location as far as Washington goes. And while we're in Washington, we get one of my personal favorite sightseeing tours. Now, I've had the privilege of traveling the world and visiting all sorts of really great countries and cities, and I've had the privilege of doing some great sightseeing tours in everywhere that I go. This tour is still one of my favorites. We are going to get the Monuments by Moonlight tour, which is a nighttime tour that'll take you by some of the famous memorials and monuments of Washington, D.C., and you get to see them all illuminated at night. It is a fantastic way to see some of DC's most popular sites and attractions. After our fun in Washington, D.C. is all said and done, we then will hop on board the Amtrak Capital Limited train, and we're going to do the overnight train back to Chicago. So this trip is 14 days, 13 nights. While we're there, we get hop-on, hop-off tours of both Seattle and Los Angeles. We get the guided city tour of New Orleans, as well as we also will get the Monuments by Moonlight tour of Washington, D.C. Overall, it's 6 days hotel, 7 nights on board the train, and yes, this trip you're definitely going to want to upgrade to the sleepers on board the train, especially for 7 nights, where you'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now, maybe I like the idea of a trip like this, but maybe this is just a bit too much. Maybe you want something like this, but just shorter. Well, keep in mind, we got our Northern Rail experience, which, as you can see, is very similar, but a little bit shorter. This trip is fantastic because you get to utilize the 3 most scenic routes that Amtrak absolutely has to offer. So this trip starts again from Chicago on board the Amtrak Empire Builder. And we're going to ride the Empire Builder in its entirety as we go all the way from Chicago to Seattle once again. When we get to Seattle, we're going to do 1 night in a downtown Seattle hotel, and while we're in Seattle, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take you around Seattle on a big loop. You can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions that Seattle has. After our fun in Seattle is all said and done, we then once again hop on board the Coast Starlight once again, and we're going to ride an overnight train from Seattle, Washington, down to San Francisco. When we get to San Francisco, we are going to do 2 nights in a downtown San Francisco hotel, typically in the Fisherman's Wharf area of the city. After our fun, while we're in San Francisco, we get a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, which will take you around San Francisco on a big loop, and you can get off and on as you please at all the different sites and attractions. We also get a half-day tour of the Muir Woods and Sausalito, so you can see the giant redwood trees of the Muir Woods, as well as the coastal town of Sausalito, and that is all capped off by a San Francisco Bay cruise. After our fun in San Francisco is all said and done, we hop on board the Amtrak. We hop on board the California Zephyr, the legendary California Zephyr train, and we ride that train in its entirety as we do a 2-night train journey from San Francisco all the way back to Chicago. So this trip right here, everyone, is 9 days, 8 nights. We get hop-on, hop-off tours of both Seattle and San Francisco. We get the half-day tour of Muir Woods and Sausalito and the San Francisco Bay cruise. Overall, 3 nights hotel, 5 nights on board the train, and yes, those 5 nights on the train are in coach accommodations once again. We can absolutely upgrade you to the sleepers, where you'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now, I'm very excited to share this next trip with you, as it has been one of our top itineraries for the past 7 years. That's right, this is our Glacier National Park Express. Now, this trip is tremendously popular for a couple different reasons. First, you get to visit 2 iconic cities of the United States. Second, you get to utilize one of the most scenic routes that Amtrak has to offer. And 3, you get to visit one of our most popular destinations that we offer, one of our most popular national parks that we offer, hands down, of Glacier National Park. Now, this package season is very limited. It's only from about mid-June to mid-September, and the reason for that is simply because Glacier Park season is very limited. Because yes, it is in northern Montana, so yes, it does snow about 9 months of the year up there, so really June through September is Glacier Park's time to shine, and this is our most popular package that includes Glacier National Park. So this trip starts off in Chicago, where we do 2 nights right in the heart of the Windy City, right where we want to be in downtown Chicago. While we're in Chicago, we get the Shoreline Sightseeing Architecture Cruise, which is the boat ride that'll bring you down the river in Chicago, and it highlights a lot of the famous buildings and skyscrapers that Chicago is known for. In fact, Chicago is the birthplace of the modern skyscraper, so this tour highlights a lot of those famous buildings that Chicago is known for. After our fun in Chicago is all said and done, we hop on board the Empire Builder, that most northern route, and we're going to do an overnight train from Chicago to Glacier National Park, where we arrive the following evening. When we get into Glacier Park, we are going to do 3 nights at the Glacier Park Lodge, which is the oldest and most historic of the Great Northern Railway hotels. The property was built in 1912, and it is absolutely stunning. It's a legendary property, so you'll really enjoy that. While we're in Glacier Park, we get 2 tours included. The first tour is the Big Sky Circle Tour, which is the main tour of Glacier Park. It's the main tour that the park has to offer. It's a full-day tour that utilizes the Going to the Sun Road, which is the main stretch of highway that runs right through the middle of Glacier Park. It really is by far the most comprehensive tour that the park has to offer, so really fantastic tour. And the second tour is the Two Medicine Valley boat cruise, which is the boat ride on Two Medicine Lake, which is situated in the Two Medicine Valley of Glacier Park. It's really a great tour because you get to see a whole separate area of Glacier Park that first tour does not visit. After our fun in Glacier Park is all said and done, we will once again hop on board the Empire Builder and do a really quick overnight train from Glacier Park to Seattle, where we will arrive the following morning. And when we get to Seattle, we're going to do 2 nights in a downtown Seattle hotel. While we're there, we get a guided city tour of Seattle, which will take you around and show you all the major sites that Seattle has to offer. It's a really great opportunity to see the city and learn about what's the history that Seattle has. And you also will get admission into the Space Needle, as seen right on your screen, Seattle's most iconic landmark, as well as you'll get admission to the Chihuly Garden and Glass Museum. Now, for those that aren't familiar with Chihuly, Dale Chihuly is this really great artist that makes these beautiful glass sculptures that look like flowers. And this is his headquarters museum, and the best part is it's situated right at the foot of the Space Needle, allowing you to go from one to the other with ease. So this trip right here, everyone, is 10 days, 9 nights. We get the Shoreline Sightseeing Architecture Cruise while we're in Chicago. We get the 2 tours in Glacier Park, the Big Sky Circle Tour and the Two Medicine Valley Boat Cruise. And while we're in Seattle, we get the guided city tour, as well as we get admission to the Space Needle and the Chihuly Garden and Glass Museum. Overall, it's 7 nights hotel, 2 nights on board the train, and yes, once again, folks, the 2 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which we can once again upgrade you all to the sleepers, where you will get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included. Now let's pay a visit to our most popular year-round national park. That's right, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. That's right, we're talking about the Grand Canyon. And this is our Grand Canyon getaway round trip from Chicago. Now, keep in mind, this trip does start and end in Chicago, but keep in mind, everyone, that any of these trips can start at any of the 500 Amtrak stations throughout the United States and Canada. Now, you might ask, why do a lot of these trips do start and end in Chicago? Well, the reason for that is simply because Chicago is Amtrak's hub station. So a lot of these trips do start and end in Chicago, but not to worry, you can start in or end any of these trips at any station throughout the United States and Canada. So this trip starts off out of Chicago, where we hop on board the Amtrak Southwest Chief, which I can tell you firsthand, I've done this train trip myself a couple of years ago, and I absolutely loved it. The scenery is absolutely beautiful, especially when you're passing through southern Colorado and New Mexico and Arizona. Really beautiful. I remember seeing wide open desert landscapes with snow-capped mountains in the backgrounds and plateaus and mesas. I'm from Massachusetts. We don't have plateaus and mesas around here, so it was really something special to get to see those right from the train and be able to experience them right from riding an Amtrak, being on an Amtrak journey. So we're going to do an overnight train from Chicago to Williams, Arizona, where we will arrive the following evening. When we arrive into Williams, we will do 1 night at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, which is this really fantastic property. It really is the gateway to the Grand Canyon. We're going to do 1 night there. The next morning, you will hop on board the famous Grand Canyon Railway, which is the antique train that will take you from Williams, Arizona, up to the south rim of the Grand Canyon. I love it because it adds another train experience to your train vacation. So not only do you get the Amtrak experience, but you'll also get that classic train experience as well. And there's a reason why this train has been in existence for over 110 years. It actually passes through the largest ponderosa forest in the state of Arizona, so it offers some really breathtaking landscapes en route from Williams up to the South Rim. Once we reach the South Rim of the Grand Canyon, we are then met by a motor coach for a guided tour of the Grand Canyon South Rim, which will highlight a lot of the key sites that the South Rim has to offer. And then we'll do 1 night up in one of the lodges in the Grand Canyon Village, right where we want to be, so you get your own time to be up in the South Rim on your own as well. After our night in the South Rim is all said and done, we will then hop on board the next afternoon back on board the Grand Canyon Railway. We will take that from the South Rim back down to Williams. When we get back down into Williams, we'll do one more night at the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel, and then the next morning you'll hop back on board the Amtrak Southwest Chief and do the overnight train back to Chicago. So this trip, everybody, is going to be 6 days, 5 nights. We get round-trip service and coach accommodations on board the Grand Canyon Railway, which we can absolutely upgrade you to the different types of accommodations on board the Grand Canyon Railway. In fact, we can upgrade you to the first class or the observation dome. We can upgrade you to even further to the luxury dome or to the luxury parlor car if you really wanted to. You get the Grand Canyon Freedom Tour of the South Rim, which is the guided motor coach tour. Overall, it's 3 nights hotel, 2 nights on board the train. And yes, once again, everybody, the 2 nights on the train are in coach accommodations, which we can once again upgrade to the sleepers, where you'll get a private room with beds, shower access, and meals on the train included once again. And no matter what package you are looking at, you could choose the hotels that work best for your needs. And we work with a plethora of different hotels in almost every destination that we offer. So you can choose the hotels that work best for you, as we work with hotels ranging from 3 to 5 stars. So definitely keep that in mind. If you're accustomed to staying at a particular type of hotel, we could definitely set that up for you. Just let us know and we can get it all sorted out for you. Now, I know throughout the presentation I've been mentioning a lot about the packages and about the destinations, but what about the train experience? So let's go over that. And the first thing we're going to talk about is packing for the train, as Amtrak has by far one of the most generous luggage policies in all of the travel industry. In fact, Amtrak allows 2 pieces of carry-on luggage up to 50 pounds each bag, 2 pieces of check-in luggage up to 50 pounds each bag, as well as a personal items figure along the lines of a backpack, briefcase, pocketbook, purse, or even a small duffel bag. And the beauty of it is it can all be checked in up to 45 minutes prior to your departure time. So we make it as really hassle-free and as worry-free as possible. It's not like the airlines where you have to be there hours and hours in advance. 45 minutes is all you need. It's really as hassle-free and as worry-free as possible. And I know throughout the presentation I've been talking about coach and upgrades and sleepers. What does all that mean? So let's hop right in that. And the first thing I'm going to go over is coach seating, which, as you can see, it's a pretty standard seat on board the train, but take what you know about airplane seating and picture the exact opposite, because the coach seating on Amtrak is absolutely comfortable. The seats themselves are typically double the size of your standard airplane seat. They recline at a 45-degree angle, and they also have a leg rest as well. And the legroom is uncomparable. In fact, last year I traveled with one of my colleagues who's 6'6". He could fully stretch his legs out and still have room to spare. Good luck finding that on the airlines, and if you do, you're paying a premium for that. This is all standard on board Amtrak. Now, coach seating is great. However, meals are not included, and neither is shower access. If we're doing a night or more on board the train, we're probably going to want to eat, and we're probably going to want to take a shower. So where do we go from there? So we can upgrade to the roomettes. The roomettes are by far the most popular type of sleeper on board the train. During the day, it's 2 big seats that face each other with a big picture window in between and a fold-out table in between. At night, the 2 seats convert to the lower bed, and right above where this lady's head is, the top bed will pull down. Now, I do want to make note that with the roomettes, meals are absolutely included. However, the bathrooms and showers are located down the hall, and yes, they are private but shared. So what does that mean? It means, yes, you will be sharing them with the rest of the people that have roomette accommodations in the same car, but they're private. Once you're in there, you're in there. There's a lock on the door. It's not like a college dormitory where people are coming in and out. And the neat thing is it's a full-size bathroom with a full-size shower. Now, you might say, Nick, this sounds great, but is there a way I can get my own bathroom in room? And the correct answer is yes, we can upgrade you to the bedrooms. The bedrooms are a little bit bigger than the roomettes, and it's a bit of a different layout. So during the day, it's more of a sofa-style seating, like where that lady is sitting, with an extra captain's chair as well, like where that gentleman is sitting. At night, that sofa-style seating converts to the lower bed, and right above where this lady's head is, much like the roomettes, the top bed will pull down. Now, with the bedrooms, you once again get your meals included. You get the exact same amenities you would get with the roomettes. However, if you look at, you get a private toilet, sink, and shower in room for your use and your use alone when you have the bedroom accommodations. So definitely keep that in mind. And I know I've mentioned a lot that you get your meals included whenever you upgrade to the sleepers. What exactly does all of that mean? So let's go over that. Now, take what you know about airplane food and picture the opposite, because the food on Amtrak is absolutely delicious. You'd be amazed at the quality of meals that is served on board the train. Now, I do want to make note, Amtrak did just recently make a big change that all trains east of Chicago, it's the Superliner or the Viewliner trains, which are the single level trains, Those trains have all eliminated the classic dining car, and they've now opted to what they call the freestyle dining option, which you'll be able to still enjoy your meals included. It's just handled a different process. You get more flexibility. There's less structure to it. You still get to enjoy the wonderful food that Amtrak has to offer. However, all the trains west of Chicago, the Superliner trains, the double-decker trains, all those trains will still have the classic dining car that we have all come to love. So you still will get those. Now, the food on Amtrak is absolutely delicious. Take what you know about airplane food once again, picture the opposite. The food on Amtrak is great. Take, for instance, for breakfast, there's pancakes or waffles, bacon and eggs, omelets. For lunch, there's juicy cheeseburgers, grilled chicken salads, pasta dishes. For dinner, there's fish, there's chicken, and of course, there's Amtrak's main dish, which you can see in the second picture, the Amtrak signature steak, which I can tell you firsthand, I've had that countless amounts of times. I love it, and I know you will too. And the whole process of dining on the train is really neat. As soon as you board the train, the dining car attendant will come by, set up reservation times that you want to eat your meals. When it's time to eat, you head down to the dining car, take a seat in one of these big, comfortable booths with a white linen tablecloth layout. You get to order off a menu and from a server like you would at a restaurant. So really, Amtrak isn't just transportation, but it's a restaurant, a hotel, and sightseeing all rolled up into one incredible experience on board the rails. And we're just getting started here, folks. We offer some really great everyday discounts for you all as well. If you're traveling with any children ages 2 to 12, the kids get a 50% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. If you're a senior traveler age 65 and over, you get a 10% discount off the rail portion of an Amtrak Vacations package. And lastly, if you're active duty military, you, your spouse, and your dependents get a 10% discount off the rail portion of a package, just as a thank you for your service. And I do want to make note that Amtrak just recently did make that change as well, to where that now is extended out to veterans as well. So keep that in mind. And once again, everyone, we got that wonderful sale going on, our upgrade and save sale, where if you book by March 6th, next Friday, if you upgrade to a Rebet, you automatically get $200 off per couple. Or if you upgrade to the full bedroom, you automatically get $300 off per couple on any of our vacation packages. So just keep that in mind. It's a really great opportunity to save some money on a really great vacation packages. And once again, don't forget to download the handouts where that top arrow is pointing. There's going to be a flyer on how to customize your Amtrak Vacations package. There's also going to be one where that explains the sale that we have going on right now as well, so the savings sale. So definitely keep that in mind. Feel free to download those. And now's the time too, if you have any questions. I've seen quite a few questions come through. If you have any questions at all, feel free to input those questions into the questions box. But beforehand, I have a question for all of you. My question is, which rail vacation packages are you interested in? And when? Let's have some fun with this, everyone. Input your answers into the questions box. I look forward to seeing where you're looking to travel to. Input your answers into the questions box. Latoya wants to go to Chicago. Debbie wants to go to the Adirondacks. Fred wants to go summer, West Coast. Cheryl wants to go to DC. Eloise, Niagara Falls. Mark, Glacier Park. Carlton wants to go to the Rails to the Rim tour. Larry wants to go to the West Coast. Robin wants to go to Glacier National Park. Patricia wants to go to the Grand Rail Experience. Jill, San Diego. Elizabeth wants to go to the Grand Canyon. Ray wants to go to the West Coast. Lots of West Coast. Dorothy wants to go to Louisiana. As you saw, we can set that up for you. Cynthia, San Diego, Seattle, and Seattle. Ship needs to be in Seattle. Janet wants to go to New York. Joshua wants to go to Chicago. Ray wants to go to the West Coast. Annette wants to go to the Grand Canyon. Glenn and Pam are both booked to go to the Grand Canyon already. That is fantastic. Annette wants to go to the Grand Canyon. Yeah, Charles, me too. I like that. John wants to go to Boston. Boston, hey, come to my hometown. It's a great spot. Please feel free to do so. Timothy's going to Chicago, Seattle, San Francisco, and Chicago. These are some great options, everybody. These are some really, really great options. Anybody else? Yeah, James, we can do the Utah National Parks. Richland wants to do the national parks too. Eloise also wants to go to New York. Debbie's booked to go to New York, Glacier Park for this year. Mary wants to go to Grand Tetons and Grand Tetons, Mount Rushmore, and Yellowstone. We can try to arrange that for you. We actually do have packages for Grand Teton National Park. So let me get to these questions before we wrap it up for today, because I saw a boatload of questions come through. So let me scroll all the way to the top. Let me see. So I had a question here from Paul. Can a person get on and off the train for a few days and they get on another train to continue the trip? Yes, you sure can. You would just want to set it up ahead of time with us so we could do our best to accommodate to that. So just let us know. We could set that up for you as to where you want to get off, and we'll be able to definitely take care of that for you. Fred, I do not want to travel by train at night since I want to see the scenery during the daytime. Can this be arranged? No, kind of, not really. I mean, no matter how you slice it and dice it, most of the travels you're going to have to do some night travel. But I mean, luckily for you and luckily for everyone that rides the train, most of the really great scenery is all during the daytime. Amtrak does that purposely, so definitely keep that in mind. So all the best scenery that you'll be able to see is during the daytime. Fred, I also want to stop for a couple days at Inton Mary Points. Can that be arranged? Yes. Once again, yes, we could do that. Richland, what's the cost of difference between an upgrade to a sleeper? It honestly depends on availability. That's the thing with Amtrak. It's all availability based. So the chances are the further out you book, there's going to be more of an abundance of space. So the cost is going to be a little bit lower. So I've seen it range from a couple $100 to a couple thousand. It really only depends. Fred, can I get a hard copy brochure of details and tours and details? The Amtrak schedules, they don't make the book anymore. That you'd have to get through Amtrak.com. But if you want one of our brochures, just visit our website at AmtrakVacations.com and you can order a brochure right from our website. Robert, when we get off to tour something, does the train wait for us, or do we have to take our suitcase? You would take your suitcases with you, because the train would just keep going. It's the train's going to continue to run. So you take your bag. The train doesn't just stop. So yeah, you'd have to get your luggage and move on. Fred, are there choice for each meal? Yes, you get actually a menu for each meal: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Paul, I'm a single. How much is the single supplement? Honestly, it can vary. It all is based upon the trip and the availability. It is going to cost more than the prices you saw, because the prices you saw today are based on double occupancy per person. So if you are traveling as a solo, it is going to be a little bit more. So just keep that in mind. And I've seen that question come through from Joan and Ken too. So I hope that helps answer that for you. Kim, my husband's a big man. What room would be advised to get? I would recommend it. It depends on 6'4". I'd recommend getting the bedroom just because to be on the safe side. So it's a little bit of a bigger room. Dave, does a bicycle qualify as checked luggage? No, but you can check in a bicycle if you wanted to, most definitely. Yeah, Amtrak does have a specific service with that, so you could do that. Catherine, service dogs. Yes, you are allowed to bring in a service dog on board the train. So you could definitely do that if you wanted to. So just no pets allowed. Let's see, a couple more questions. Catherine, vegan diets. Amtrak does offer vegan diets. Vegetarian, vegan, and kosher diets are 3 diets that Amtrak will stick to. However, if you do have a food allergy or gluten intolerance or anything like that, or any food issues, just let your server know on board the train and they can do their best to accommodate to your dietary restriction. Let's see. Joan, if you have a single, do you have the room to yourself? Yes, you sure do. Let's see. Joshua, are there any other packages that come out of Utah other than Colorado? I mean, coming out of Utah, you really can set up any of our packages. It's just the thing is you will have you are on the California Zephyr, so just keep that in mind. So that train runs from San Francisco to Chicago, so it is all based upon where you go, but we can set it up. Carlton, does the train move while in motion? Yes, it does rock a little bit, nothing too crazy. Debbie, do you have pictures of the bathrooms? Yes, they are on our website at AmtrakVacations.com. Deborah, is there any trains that go into Canada? Yes, the Maple Leaf crosses from New York to Toronto or Niagara Falls. That these Adirondack from New York to Montreal. And then there's the Cascades that runs from Portland, Oregon, and Seattle up to Vancouver. So yes. Latoya, the package deals. Are you able to have a hotel options? Yes, the packages do include hotels. Terry, how often do the trips start? Almost every single one of our trips operates daily, so you can truly travel when you want to travel. Except for some of our seasonal national parks, like Glacier Park is seasonal. Annette, do you have to pay when you book? Yes, usually a deposit is due. Final payment is usually due 60 days prior to your departure date. Randall, is electricity available? I have a portable oxygen concentrator and it uses battery and needs to be recharged. Yes, coach seats and the sleepers do have those. So yeah, if you are looking to, have electric on board the train, you'll definitely have that. So that's not a problem at all. Let's see, what else? What else do we have? I'm just scrolling through because a lot of them are double up questions. Chip, are the Grand Canyon suitable for grandkids ages 8, 10, and 4? I mean, yeah, the Grand Canyon's amazing. So yeah, that's good for any age. Paul, can you bring diabetic equipment on the train? Yes, you sure can. You can bring medication and anything like that. There is no Wi-Fi on board the train. I've seen that question come through a couple of times. The Wi-Fi does not exist on the long distance routes. On the more on the more regional routes, Amtrak does have Wi-Fi, but the long distance routes, Amtrak does not have Wi-Fi. As you can imagine, putting Wi-Fi on a cross-country train is quite a situation. So Amtrak is working on it, but currently they do not. All the regional routes do, though. Debbie, is the upper berth bed difficult to get up into? Not really, not really at all. In fact, a lot of our travelers are older travelers, and that's a common question. Nope, that's never really an issue. It's actually very, very easy to get up there. Catherine, is there individual AC room control? Yes, there is a thermostat in your room on board the train. James, Mount Rushmore trips, I've seen that come through. So the train doesn't go to South Dakota. So what you do is you take the train to Denver. You get in there about 7:30 in the morning. You pick up a rental car, and it's about a 6 to 7 hour drive up to Rapid City. Let's see. Lundy, if I want to customize my trip, how far in advance should I book? Does it get better me? It's always best to book as far in advance as possible to guarantee yourself the lowest price and the availability. Dorothy, can I use my points for these? No, unfortunately, we don't work with Amtrak Guest Rewards, so you would actually have to go through them directly. You can only accumulate the points with us. You can't use the points. Dorothy, are any of the lower level trains available on any of these trips? Most definitely. Ken, can we coordinate with the Canadian train? Yes, we do work with Via Rail Canada, so we can absolutely help set that up for you. That's not a problem. That is not a problem at all. Jurgen, is it possible to take a motorcycle with me? Unfortunately, no. It has to, unless it's on the auto train, which is the train that runs from Sanford, Florida, to Lorton, Virginia. Janet, charging ports there is no charging ports, but you are allowed to bring on board your charger for your phone and everything if you wanted to, most definitely. Deborah, there are gift cards available. Yes, for Amtrak Vacations. And I saw Patricia. Yes, Deborah, you can do that. Patricia, we don't take Amtrak gift cards. It has to be an Amtrak Vacations gift card. So. Let's see. No, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Elizabeth, please answer my question on how the 10% senior discount works. So I saw that early June, I'm a senior. When you said 10% off the rail travel, how much do I get off? So that's all. It's all based on the cost of it's all based upon the cost of the train itself, about the package, the train portion of the package, not the room. Timothy, do we do tipping? Yes. So you want to tip your car attendant? I always recommend $5 per person per day. I also recommend tipping your server like you would at a restaurant. Usually, I'd recommend anywhere from 18 to 20%, depending on that, like you would at a restaurant. And any portage service you use at the stations, I always recommend $5 per person per service. Deborah, what's the difference between two different gift cards? Well, one's for Amtrak Vacations, which we do the vacation packages. That's us. But then we also have the Amtrak one as well. So it all really depends on that, if it's an Amtrak gift card or if it's Amtrak Vacations. Because Amtrak is just the train, where Amtrak Vacations does the packages. Cell phone coverage from Eloise. Yes, I can tell you firsthand. I've used the service on my phone and almost on every train. I've never had an issue really with getting service on board. There are stretches where it won't, but For the as a whole, yes, you'll have service on your phone. Christy, what happens to our luggage when we're touring? Do we transfer it to the hotel? Yes, you would. Gabriella, are there any activities for kids on board? No, unfortunately, not for kids on board. But usually, bring an iPad, bring, music, bring something. Staring out the window is fun. So let's see. More questions about tipping. Annette, if you pay for a room, can you still sit in coach part of the time? Most definitely, you sure can. Fred, where can I find Amtrak schedules online since they're no longer published in the hard copy? On Amtrak.com. Deborah, do you provide transportation between the train and hotel? Not usually. You usually are on your own with that for transportation, but usually the hotels, we do that for a reason, because the hotels we work with are typically within 1 mile to 2 miles from the train station. So usually a taxi or an Uber or a Lyft are usually the least expensive ways to get from one to the other. So just definitely keep that in mind. But sometimes the hotels are within walking distance. Sometimes the hotels are within a short taxi or within a short walk, or sometimes the hotels we work with to provide a complimentary shuttle. It all really depends on the hotel and destinations. Timothy, there'll be prices on the menu. Dorothy, it all really depends on availability. Jody, if you have a fear of heights, I would avoid going to the Grand Canyon more than likely, first off. So I would do that. But a lot of our trips you can definitely do. And so it looks like we are going to be out of time for today. So I want to thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. If I did not get to your question, please call that number right on your screen. Or if you want to quote and book, please call that number on your screen, and one of our amazing vacations consultants will be more than happy to help you out. You can also, and what I always recommend, give a call or pay a visit to your local travel agent. They will do their best to help you out as well. I love my local travel agent. I still utilize them to this day for my personal services because they're a really great resource. They're there for you to find your best intentions and to help you out any step of the way. So we do these presentations every single week on Wednesdays, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., or 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 7 p.m. Eastern time. Keep your eyes peeled to your email inboxes. Hopefully you can join us for next week. So I want to thank you all for joining me for today. I hope you all take care. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.